Now the first reptiles were small plant-eating, lizard-like creatures. They were a lot like amphibians because they were mutated or changed amphibians. And they changed because they went through a field of radiation or a lot of radioactivity. And they incorporated it into their being, and it changed them. Now the skull of the reptile was higher, narrower, and it was heavy roofed. Now reptiles can't cool themselves because they don't have any pores or sweat glands. They have dry, scaly skin in order to hold in the moisture. Now reptiles are cold-blooded. They have a low metabolic rate, and they can subsist on little food in relation to the body weight. Now one of the most significant changes, or the best changes in the reptile, was in the egg. They have a shell-covered egg, and within the egg they have a protective fluid that the embryo is surrounded by a protective fluid, and they have a membranous sac and a supply of yolk to feed that embryo. So that's a big advantage over the other, over the amphibians and the water creatures. Now one group of small, bipedal, heavily armored, meat-eating reptiles separated from the other reptiles and changed to thecodont reptiles as they spread from the Americas to the Soviet around 280 million years ago. Now at the same time, another group degenerated. They just couldn't face this land, and they became like the aquatic reptiles. Here you have, here's Ichthyosaurus, and this is a Plesiosaurus. They ate fish. Now look at those long necks, and this one leaped about. Now as a thecodont, here we have a thecodont reptile down here. As they migrated southward from the Soviet Union, they separated into two groups, and one group became thoracic reptiles. Now one group of thoracic reptiles settled in European Russia near Mongolia, and the other group migrated to the Karoo beds of South Africa, which formed to receive them. A passage from the Encyclopedia Britannica states, the Karoo system is an area of rock outcropping in Africa. It extends from the equator south to the Cape of Good Hope. It formed around 280 million years ago and remained until about 190 million years ago. Now the Karoo bed supplied the food that was necessary, all the minerals and the spirits and whatever else that was necessary to create mammals so that they wouldn't get any C13. They got C12. Now the poles shifted. These stars show where they shifted. They shifted 250 million years ago. And the South Pole was then in northeastern Australia. Now rocks in Australia and Tasmania began lifting and folding around 245 million years ago because gaseous spirits of unicellular life forms who use C13 were spreading. These are creatures of the dark side. Their spirits were lifting up those rocks. They were coming from the bowels or basement of the layers of the earth. And an arc of mountains stretching from west central Germany, Belgium, northeast France, England, and southern Iceland began uplifting as spirits of the dark side, the ones who created the methane fireball and the manganese shield. They expanded into surface creation. The Ural Mountains in western Siberia and the Appalachian Mountains in North America, that's on that on the east coast, uplifted and folded. Rock outcrops lifted in Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Texas, and the Soviet Republic. Seas withdrew from large areas as mountains uplifted and creation expanded. Heavy volcanic activity created a dark, hot atmosphere that was laden with carbon dioxide, volcanic ash, radiation, and exploding methane fireballs. Desert conditions were widespread in Siberia and North America for a period of some 20 million years. Layers of iron dust accumulated in the British Isles, New Jersey, eastern New York, and central Pennsylvania. The iron dust from that period formed the red beds that they used to make the brownstone houses in buildings in New York. That's where the brownstone came from. That's when. Now, spirits of death from these that rose up out of the earth almost cleared the earth of life forms. Geochronologists state that extinctions from 245 to 225 million years ago were the most severe and widespread of any known. Trilobites and Euripides became extinct. Out of a total of 140 to 130 genera of brachiopods, only 2 genera survived. All ammonites, with the exception of 2 categories, passed into extinction. And those 2 categories, the 2 that survived, were descendants of the giant octopus and the giant squid. Now, the zoologists say that they were the champions of the waterways. That's because they cannibalized or ate up all the other life forms and fertilized their eggs. And then their descendants were the 2 ammonite categories that survived. Now, during this period, the fish became deep water fish, and they became larger and heavier. Now, most amphibians in the swamps, lost their legs and degenerated to water creatures, and then they became prey for the ammonites. Now, some amphibians remained in the swamps, and they ate these radioactive metallic ores, and they mutated, but they only became progressively larger. There was one called Mastodontosaurus, who had a skull that was more than 3 feet long. But all of this getting big just taxed the body, the system, and they passed to extinction. Now, lizards and snakes formed around 250 million years ago because they recoiled from terrestrial life, and they degenerated from that bipedal movement and started crawling on all those legs. Now, the surviving land reptiles spread out, mutated, and changed, and by 225 million years ago, reptiles had spread over the whole earth. They ruled the earth for approximately 160 million years, and during that time, the various types of reptiles fought against each other to see who was going to be dominant, who was going to rule. Now, the earliest dinosaurs appeared around 225 million years ago. Now, they walked on 2 legs, they ate meat, and they were about 2 to 8 feet in length, and they had bird-like feet and bird-like mouths. Now, one branch of dinosaurs broke away and became plant eaters, and they ate whole forests of plants. And the plants that they ate were those from the amphibian period. And those plants, those were water plants. They would pass into extinction, becoming cold. And so these reptiles would take, these plant eaters were taking that and eating that, foods that were dying, passing out. You are what you eat. Whatever you take into your system and incorporate into your body and spirit, your spirit has to expand or evolve through that and shed that. In other words, your light or your spirit has to use up or get rid of this, everything that you take in order to, and it has to use it to enlarge creation. Now, deposits of thoracic reptile bones found in the Karoo beds of South Africa show the changes that led to the evolution of mammals. Now, when they talk, mammals are biting animals. Think about it. Cats, dogs, bears, wolves, people, mammals bite. And so whenever they start talking about mammals, they always talk about the teeth. And the thoracic reptile bones in South Africa in the Karoo bed showed changes in the teeth. Some of them had large stabbing canine teeth and a series of grinding cheek teeth. They also showed that these thoracic mammals, their legs turned so in alignment, they align their the planes of movement like mammals. And they had changes in the circulatory system that led to a warm-blooded condition. And what they were doing was they were expanding or evolving all the things that they inherited from fish. Now, the first mammals evolved 200 years ago, and they coexisted with dinosaurs. Now, they were very small creatures, these mammals. They're about the size of shrews. Now, this is a shrew. They were just little creatures. And they probably, they were egg layers too. These mammals laid eggs. And they probably just ate insects. Now the skin is the most characteristic feature of mammals. Your hair, oil, sweat, scent, and the mammary glands derive from it. Now all mammalian mothers produce milk to nourish their young. And our teeth, the mammal's teeth evolved from fish scales. But the main thing, the advantage that mammals have over other animals or over reptiles is their brain and their nervous system.